أهلا وسهلا.
Hey there, buddy! So nice to see you. I brought you some gifts from my homeland. I brought you a Jewish yarmulke to be worn at religious events, and I also brought you this really beautiful bottle of wine that we can maybe enjoy, you know, later over dinner.
شكرا.
Hey, before we start our meeting, I gotta show you this. Did you see the journal today? Oil prices have plummeted. OPEC must be freaking out.
Allah, no, la. أهلا وسهلا يا حبيبتي. I wanted to give you a very, very holy present, big present from us.
Oh, thank you so much. I love presents. Woohoo! It's like Christmas. Oh, what's this? Oh, a Quran. You know, I'm a Christian, but thanks. Maybe I'll look at it later.
Oh, Allah.
Our group was assigned the country Qatar, and Qatar is a very interesting country in the Middle East bordering Saudi Arabia. It actually has the highest GDP in the world from a PPP standpoint, and their per capita GDP is an astonishing $140,000, which is significantly higher than almost every other country in the world. As such, a lot of business goes on in Qatar, and namely in the petroleum and natural gas industries. We learned that Qatar has a very conservative business culture. They are very wary of foreigners, which is interesting because a significant amount of the working population in Qatar are expats. So some of the things and the protocols that we learned about Qatar is gifting is very interesting. You're not supposed to open gifts that you receive in front of the gift giver. Likewise, you're supposed to be very, very conservative with the gifts that you give. They do not drink alcohol, they do not eat pork, and generally anything related to gender and families is a really taboo subject. They are devout Muslims, and as such they observe Ramadan. So this is an extremely sensitive time for the people of Qatar and needs to be taken into account when you're doing business there during that time. Attire should be very conservative. So for women, nothing revealing. Everything has to be below your knees or preferably pants. You can't show your shoulders or the tops of your arms. So it's best to just keep it conservative. A high collared shirt, long sleeves, nothing tight, not too much extravagance because, like I said, they're very conservative people. For men, it's a little bit less about the business suit, the power suit, and more about just being conservative with the way that you're showing your body. So they don't necessarily wear business suits to the office every day like we would in the United States. They do for important business meetings, but at all times they're wearing clothes that cover their bodies, and it's very hot in Qatar, so you know they are mindful of breathable shirts and not having to wear a stuffy suit all the time. But this is definitely something that is very important in this culture. In terms of business, 60% of their GDP is based on the petroleum and natural gas industries. So there's a lot of sensitivity around that, especially right now with oil prices plummeting. OPEC is, you know, not in a great way. A lot of people are panicking. This is probably not a great thing to bring up in a business meeting. And so just having sensitivities about what is important to the people of Qatar. In terms of families, they don't really talk about their families in business settings. So bringing up wives and children and how do you feel about your family, those are really taboo subjects that should be avoided. And finally, I think that there's just a level of respect that you need to present yourself with and receive from the people of Qatar when you're doing business. So for women, it is not a bad idea to see how a man approaches you. If he puts his hand out to shake yours, then go for the handshake. But sometimes, especially in the older generation, they do not want to touch a woman who's outside of their family. And so it might seem offensive to us, but it's actually a matter of respect for them. So I think, dealing with the people of Qatar, as well as I'm sure many of the Middle Eastern countries, just being respectful of their religion, being respectful of the conservative nature with which they live their lives, and staying off topics that are taboo for their religion and culture. So in the interactions that Tal and I demonstrated, I did quite a few things wrong, basically everything wrong, and I'm just going to run through each scene with you right now. So the first scene was the attire, and women doing business in Qatar are expected to dress very conservatively. No cleavage, no fancy blazers, no, even in your facial expressions, you're not supposed to, be sultry in any way. I don't know why you would in a business context, but just, tame it. And then for the gift giving scene, I did wrong on the receiving as well as the giving ends. So for giving the gift, I gave him a Jewish yarmulke, which, as we all know, there are very tense relations between Muslims and Jews, and so steering clear from anything that could be offensive is a really good idea. I also offered him a bottle of wine, and due to their conservative culture, they do not drink, so that was also a big no-no. Conversely, when Tal gave me the gift of the Quran, I ripped open the gift like it was Christmas morning, and you're not supposed to open gifts in front of the gift giver. So it doesn't even matter what's inside, don't do it. Then when I received the Quran, I was not very gracious about that. I sort of desecrated their property by throwing it, and that was also a no-no. For the third scene, when we started our meeting, I used an icebreaker about talking about the plummeting oil prices. And I made a joke about it, and I was laughing about it, and this is really sensitive because the majority of wealth in Qatar comes from the oil industry. So that is something you want to steer clear of, and if you're going to be discussing the oil industry, do so in a respectful way. Our fourth scene was after our meeting wrapped up. I thought it'd be a great idea to invite Tal out for some shots and beers and a strip club, and maybe we were gonna go and get some pork sliders. And so basically every single one of those things is a no-no for this culture. No pork, no alcohol, and certainly no strip clubs. And finally, I thought it would be a good idea to build a little connection with Tal by discussing his wife and newborn child. This is an interesting one because here in the States, it's encouraged to discuss your family, and it's a really great way to make connections with people. And in Qatar, it's the opposite. So they love and respect their families, and they have very tight family units, but it's private. It's not something that's discussed in public, certainly not something that's discussed in business situations with mere strangers. So those were 5 of the big areas that we thought we could demonstrate some of the taboos and some of the business protocol that should be observed in Qatar.